The guards laughed when they threw him into the cold, metal cell. They didn't care that he was injured. Blood dripped down his forehead. His uniform was torn. But his eyes were still calm. They had captured a human soldier. One man, alone, weak, they thought. They had no idea what was coming. The alien prison ship moved silently through space. Inside, every species feared the name human, but told themselves it was just a myth. That fear was fading until tonight. Sergeant Micah Kade had been ambushed. On the battlefield. He had fought 3 enemies with a broken arm and no ammo. Still, he held them off long enough for his squad to escape. The aliens didn't kill him. They wanted to study him. Break him. Show the galaxy that even humans could kneel. But Micah didn't kneel. Not in chains. Not in pain. Not in the silence of this cage. He sat on the floor of his cell. Breathing slowly. Listening. He had been counting footsteps. Timing the guards. Learning the sound of every door. Every electric lock. Every guard's habit. Because one truth had become clear. They underestimated him. High above the cell block. A young alien technician watched Micah on the monitors. She frowned. Every prisoner screamed, cried, begged. But this one stared at the wall like he was planning. Something. She felt uneasy. She didn't know why. Micah's pulse slowed. He closed his eyes and remembered his training. Every lesson. Every survival drill. And most of all, he remembered what the commander had said on their first day on Titan. Station. If you're ever captured, remember this. Fear is a weapon, but so are you. Micah opened his eyes. His plan was ready. The next guard walked by, laughing with a fellow trooper. Pathetic human, one sneered. What's he gonna do? Punch the wall? Micah stood. They stopped. One of them pressed the cell scanner. The force field shimmered blue. You hungry little monkey? The guard mocked. Micah stepped forward and whispered something. What did you say? The guard asked. Micah stared into his eyes and said louder, run. Then he moved. In 1 second, he slammed his boot against the cell wall, bounced up, and used the momentum to launch himself at the door. His hands gripped the weak edge of the old frame. And with every ounce of strength in his broken body, he roared and pulled. Metal groaned. The guards froze, and then with a final yell, the door snapped from its hinges. The alarms didn't even have time to scream. The sound of tearing steel echoed through the ship like thunder. The technician in the control room dropped her drink. Micah stepped out, holding the bent door like a shield, bleeding. Smiling. The guards backed away. In that moment, something ancient and instinctual surged through their bodies. Fear. Micah spoke just once more. You captured one human. And then he ran, not to escape, but to fight. The prison ship's red lights flickered as the alarm finally screamed. Echoes of metallic boots thundered through the corridors. Sirens howled across all decks. Every soldier on board was called to one task: find the escaped human. Micah sprinted through the hallway, barefoot, with the door panel still gripped in one hand. His other hand was bloodied, but steady. His broken arm swung uselessly at his side. Still, his legs moved like they remembered every battlefield he had survived. He wasn't running blindly. He had memorized the map during transport. The aliens hadn't noticed the way his eyes moved. He had counted the levels, marked the path. And now, every step took him closer to the ship's nerve center. They had mocked him. Now they were locking down everything. But they were too late. 2 guards rounded a corner. One had a pulse rifle, the other, a shock pike. They opened fire without warning. The bolt hit the wall behind him. Micah ducked, slid across the floor, and hurled the door shield into the first guard's chest. The alien flew backward with a crunch. Micah reached the second one before he could blink. He drove his elbow into the creature's throat. The alien dropped like a stone. Micah grabbed the shock pike and moved forward. The technician from the Control room was watching everything from the upper deck. Her name was Kalira, young, green-skinned, eyes glowing like dusk fire. She leaned closer to the screen, heart pounding. Something about this human was different, not just strong-focused. Like he had done this before, she had studied human war records. She knew how Earth had survived the First Contact War. She had read the words of alien generals who faced humans and never returned. And now, watching this one man tear through security like he was born to escape, she whispered to herself, "He's not running to live. He's running to finish something." Kalira made a choice. She opened a hidden line to the commander's bridge. "This isn't just an escape," she said. "It's a mission." Micah reached a security locker. It hissed open. He grabbed a compact pistol, a stun grenade, and a ration bar. He tore into the food with one hand while moving. His body screamed for rest. His bones ached. But he had one more reason to keep going. He wasn't the only prisoner on the ship. He turned sharply and moved towards Cell Block Delta. That block held species the Empire didn't want others to see. Political prisoners, dissidents, and maybe just maybe a few unlucky humans from earlier raids. Micah found the security panel and cracked the code in 30 seconds. The guards thought he was just a brawler. They didn't know he had trained. Under AI infiltration drills back on Luna Base, the doors opened. Inside were 6 alien prisoners, weak, dirty, scared, and one human girl, maybe 17. She looked up, gasped, and then her eyes widened. "Micah?" she whispered. It was his niece. Mia Kade, reported missing 3 months ago during a colony raid on Alpha Gades. He rushed forward, cut her binds, and held her close. "You came for me?" she asked. "I didn't know," he said, voice breaking, "but I wasn't leaving without anyone." Behind them, the sirens changed tone. Kalira had flagged their location. Troops were coming, dozens of them. Micah turned to the other prisoners. "You want to survive? Follow me." One alien, tall and skeletal, hissed in fear. "They'll kill us if we run." "They'll kill you anyway," Micah said. "But they haven't met me." He led them out with his niece close behind, and somewhere deep in the ship, on a dark, quiet level, Kalira locked eyes with the security cam one last time before shutting it off. She whispered just 4 words, "I hope he wins." The lights dimmed again. This time, not from alarms, but something deeper. A lockdown command echoed through the ship's core. Doors sealed, pathways collapsed. The artificial gravity trembled. They were sealing off every route the human could take. Micah didn't panic. He adapted. He guided the group through maintenance tunnels, crawling through narrow vents and past exposed pipes. Steam hissed around them. Sparks lit the dark. The prisoners followed in silence, fear growing with every step. But Micah's presence gave them something they hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Mia crawled behind him. Her hands were shaking, but her voice stayed strong. "Uncle Micah, where are we going?" "To the reactor level," he said. "I need the core's heat to hide our body signals. Then we find a way off this rust bucket." "But there's no escape pods down there," one alien said. "There's something better." Micah replied, and he was right. He remembered hearing a rumor, just one whisper during interrogation. The Empire had a prototype ship, small, fast, meant for infiltration, hidden somewhere in the underbelly of this prison ship. If it existed, it was their only chance. On the command deck, Kalira ignored the orders from her superior. The commander barked at her to restore tracking, but she muted the call. Her claws trembled over the console. She had switched sides in her heart. Now she had to choose with her hands. If they caught her helping a human, they'd throw her into the vacuum. But something told her this human wasn't just escaping. He was changing everything. Micah reached the reactor zone. The heat was intense. Sweat poured from his face. The others gasped in the dense air. He pulled open a side panel and entered the maintenance route. At the end, a door sealed with a biometric lock shimmered in the gloom. Micah pulled his shock pike from his belt and stabbed it straight into the lock. The panel burst. Sparks flew. The lock blinked, then failed. The door hissed open, and inside was a sleek, black ship, smaller than a fighter, shaped like a hunter's arrowhead, sharp, silent, hidden in the dark like a secret weapon. Micah turned to Mia. "This is how we go home." But just then, footsteps echoed behind them, heavy boots, multiple squads. Micah aimed his pistol toward the tunnel they had just come through. "Get inside," he shouted to the others. The prisoners rushed into the ship. Mia hesitated, watching him. "Uncle Micah, don't. I'll be right behind you," he said. And then the tunnel exploded with blaster fire. Micah returned fire, swift, precise. Every shot counted. He moved like the war was still inside him, and maybe it was. Suddenly, the blast door behind the guards slammed shut. They turned in confusion. Lyra's voice rang in their ears. Unauthorized lockdown. Return to the bridge. She had done it. She had trapped them behind the sealed barrier, buying the human precious seconds. Micah didn't waste them. He grabbed the side of the hatch, leapt into the ship and sealed it tight. The new ship's controls lit up. Symbols and alien tongue danced across the screen. But Micah didn't blink. He tapped into his memory, recalling training manuals, symbology charts, field tech decoding drills. He activated the engines. The ship roared to life. From her station, Kalira watched the hidden hangar begin to glow. A smirk formed on her face. She whispered one last message across the untraceable channel. "Run fast, human. Make them afraid." And Micah did just that. As the small craft broke free from the belly of the prison ship, alarms howled across the stars. The Empire had just lost its prize captive. But worse, it had gained something it feared far more. A human with a reason to come back. Asterisk. The stars streaked by as the black ship cut through space like a silent knife. Micah gripped the controls, his hands steady but tight. Behind him, Mia and the freed prisoners sat in silence, watching him like he was something more than human. They had escaped the prison ship, but they were not free yet. Micah knew the Empire would send hunters. Not just soldiers, but kill squads, trackers, ships made to erase mistakes. And right now, he was their greatest mistake. The ship's display lit up with red signals. 3 enemy crafts had already left the prison ship, fast, armed, and closing in. Micah adjusted the controls and dropped the ship into a gravity fold. Space bent around them, the walls groaned, the lights dimmed. But the ship held together. Mia moved beside him and whispered, "Where are we going?" Micah didn't answer right away. He stared at the nav console, then entered a location known only to a few old Earth War veterans. "Station Wraith," he said. No one spoke. No one even knew what that place was. But Micah did. Station Wraith was a forgotten listening post from the First War. It had no crew, no weapons, just an AI, an old one. Angry, disconnected, but still loyal to Earth. If he could reach it, he could warn the humans. And if the AI still worked, it might give them something more. As the ship dropped out of warp near a red star, the system went dark. For 5 seconds nothing moved. Then the panels blinked. A voice crackled through the speakers, rusty, metallic, cold. "Unknown vessel. Identify." Micah leaned close and said just 2 words. "Micah Kade." Silence. Then the AI replied, "Welcome back, soldier." The doors opened. The ship docked. They stepped into the old station. Dust floated like ghosts. Every wall bore scars from past battles. Mia looked around, clutching his arm. "This place feels haunted." "It is," Micah said, "but it's safe." The AI guided them inside. Food dispensers flickered on. Clean water flowed. Beds unfolded from the walls. For the first time, the prisoner sat down without fear. Micah walked deeper into the station, toward the command core. The AI displayed data on the wall surveillance. Logs, intercepted transmissions, fleet positions, and a report. It showed multiple human colonies being watched by Empire ships. New abductions planned, new prisons under construction. Micah's blood turned cold. They're preparing for war. He muttered, but then the next file stunned him. A classified log recorded only days ago of an experiment. Human DNA. Alien. Gestation. Micah froze. The Empire wasn't just capturing humans. They were trying to make something from them. Hybrid soldiers. Mia stepped up behind him. What are they doing to us? Micah clenched his fists. They're building weapons, using our blood. The screen shifted again. It showed Ka single quotes Lyra. She was in a prison cell now, hands bound, face bruised. She had been caught for helping him escape. Micah's jaw tightened. The AI spoke again. Do you want to go dark, or do you want to fight? Micah turned to the AI, his eyes no longer tired. No longer just a survivor. He was a soldier again. Give me a list of targets. And, just like that, Station Wraith came alive for the first time in years. Micah stood alone in the command chamber of Station Wraith. The cold metal under his boots hummed with new energy. Lights blinked, systems rebooted. After years of silence, the station was now preparing for war. But not just war revenge. The AI loaded a list of critical targets. Supply routes, data vaults, research ships. And one location blinking in red. Kalira's prison cell. Micah stared at it. She had risked everything. Not because she was human. Not because she had to. But because she believed he would change things. And now she was going to be executed by dawn. Mia entered the chamber quietly. You're going back for her, she said. Micah didn't respond. She smiled. I knew it. She saved us. Now it's your turn. Micah nodded once, then turned to the prisoners. They were ready, stronger now. Fed, cleaned, dressed in gear found in the old armory. Some still shook with fear. But all of them looked at him. The same way, like he was their chance. He pointed to a tall, quiet alien with tracking implants. You'll lead the escape team, Micah said. Get the others to the human colony on Delver. Tell them what happened. What about you? The alien asked. Micah holstered a plasma rifle and picked up a rebreather mask. I'm going back. The new ship launched silently, camouflaged, modified. Faster now with the station's old tech. Micah flew alone, heading straight toward the edge of Empire territory. Toward the prison moon of Vasker 6. That's where they had taken Kalira. He landed the ship outside the atmosphere and dropped alone in a pod. No army, no backup. Just him. One human. As he landed, Empire guards watched the skies. One blinked at the radar. What was that? Then the lights went out. Micah moved through shadows like a ghost. The guards didn't stand a chance. His shots were silent, precise. One by one, they fell. His path led straight to the control tower. He hacked into the system. The alarms failed to sound. Kalira sat in her cell, arms limp, eyes tired. She looked up when the door opened, and her eyes widened. Micah? He stepped in, shot the lock. Pulled her to her feet. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. You saved me, he said. Now I'm returning the favor. They ran. More guards arrived. But they didn't expect what was waiting. Micah had planted a chain of pulse. Mines on his way in. He triggered them. The explosions ripped through the towers. The prison blinked in. Confusion. Micah lifted Kalira into the escape pod and launched. Seconds later, the prison lit up in red flames. Micah sat beside her in the cockpit. She looked at him, stunned. You're insane, she said. Maybe, he said, but I'm not done yet. The IS voice came through the comms. Human colonies are responding. Uprising has begun. They're waiting for your signal. Micah looked out at the stars. He had started with nothing. One cell. One door. One human. Now he was the match that would burn the Empire. The galaxy had changed. Whispers spread faster than light. In markets, in military posts, in dark corners of the Empire's dominion, they spoke of the human who escaped the impossible prison, who returned for a traitor, and who now burned Empire outposts to ash. They called him the Ghost of Iron. They called him the Fire in Chains. But to his people, he was simply Micah Kade. From the hidden orbit of Station Wraith, human colonies began rising. Messages of rebellion pulsed through encrypted channels. Old captains returned to command. Abducted families were found. Some broken, some stronger. Micah stood at the edge of the war table, watching a live feed. Dozens of ships' freedom fighters, smugglers, ex-soldiers were heading toward a single destination. Fort Virex. It was the Empire's main command center near human space. A symbol of control. A monument of fear. And tonight, it would fall. Micah turned to Kalira, now wearing salvaged armor. Her eyes were sharper. She had chosen her side. You sure about this? He asked. I crossed the line the day I helped you escape, she said. Now I want to burn it with you. They launched together. Micah's strike team hit first. Silent. Drops, quick kills. They moved like a memory, something the Empire tried to forget, but couldn't destroy. The sound of human boots on their soil made commanders panic. The station's core was deep inside. Micah fought his way through. One room at a time. His armor cracked. His rifle broke. He picked up a blade and kept moving. Kalira stayed close. Covering his flank, they reached the command chamber, and standing there waiting was the Supreme Warden of the Empire. Tall, armored in silver. His voice boomed. You should have died in that cell. Micah stepped forward, breathing hard. You should have never put me in it. The two clashed. Metal struck metal. Blows shook the walls. Micah moved with fury. Not for revenge, but for every name that vanished in Empire records. For Mia, for Kalira, for the ones who had no voice. In the end, he plunged the blade through the warden's chest. Silence followed. Then the wall shook. Kalira ran to the console. They're overloading the core. They'd rather destroy this base than lose it. Micah looked around. No, he said. They're not winning that way. He opened the station's comms. This is Sergeant Micah Kade, he said. We've taken the command center. All Empire forces stand down or be hunted. Across the system, thousands heard him. Some ships turned back. Others fired on their own commanders. The rebellion had begun. Micah and Kalira escaped moments before the core melted down. From orbit, they watched Fort Virex erupt in a pillar of flame, and then the stars fell quiet. Back on Station Wraith, Mia ran to him, tears in her eyes. It's over? Micah looked at her. No, he said. It's just beginning. But now, humanity wasn't alone. Now, the Empire feared something greater than war. It feared a human who refused to kneel.